to a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here?
Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday. Welcome to Pact podcast. We're introducing a brand new show today. I'm very, very excited about that. More about that in just a minute. My name is Zach Clayton. I am the president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the Pact channel. And I would like to let you know that we are available. If you have any questions, just use the QR code that just popped up in the corner. And that is my For My Card. For My Card is one of our wonderful, wonderful giving partners. Anytime that you use For My Card and you mention Community Pay It Forward, they are going to give to organizations like Healing Warriors. You just saw a spot on them, a little bit of information on how you can support them. We've got a brand new, we got brand new partners all over this show. Publio, you guys all met a little bit last month, and he just joined with us as a platinum partner. He and I are going to be talking with huge friend of the show, Bart Bartholomew of Veterans Honoring Veterans, and we're joined by my father, Jerry Clayton, in honor of supporting our heroes, both country and community. Our brand new monthly show. It's going to be the first segment every last Wednesday of the month. We're really excited about the launch of this. I need to take a real quick minute and apologize to everyone out there. Last 2 weeks, I have dealt with some medical issues, and I have not done my job. And I feel horrible about that. Yesterday, I went to go get a procedure done, and I actually feel almost like a human. By the way, this segment here is being recorded the day after the show that you're going to watch here in a little bit. But I went to go get the procedure done, and I've been collecting a lot of ER and hospital bracelets lately, and I'm hoping that comes to an end. September is Suicide Awareness Month, and I did us a disservice by not being able to do my job. And I want to apologize to everyone out there. And I just definitely want to make sure that everyone understands how serious this situation is. Now today, we are premiering, and I am so excited about this. We've got a brand new platinum partner of mine, Publio Casillas, is working with me. He is a 20-year Air Force veteran, and he and I are going to put on the last Wednesday of every month. We're going to put on a show called Our Heroes Community and Country and Community, where we're going to be talking to business owners and nonprofits that are heroes, school teachers, firefighters, first responders, law enforcement, and of course, veterans. You guys and gals have done so much for our country, and you're now joining the business world. And we want to bring you in and give you the kudos that you deserve. I would like to maybe even take in and add something to this. If you are just getting out of the service, or even if you've been out of the service for a while, and you want to kind of tell people about what you can do in hopes of finding a job, contact us. Maybe we can bring you on for a little bit, and we can record a little segment, and maybe people can hear what you've got, and maybe we can help get you a job. So welcome to our first ever episode of Our Heroes, honoring our heroes, both country and community. And I want to welcome my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful friend, brand new family member and great partner, Publio Casillas. How you doing, brother?
Hey, how you doing? How you feeling?
You know, it's Like I said, I did have nerve endings injected today. Little sore, you know. Back when I drank, I didn't mind when I got hit with a dart every once in a while, you know. I was drunk, I didn't care. I don't drink anymore. It kind of hurts a lot more now. And that whole, you know, age thing. I'm not young
Yeah.
anymore. So, but how are you doing, brother?
I'm well. I've been working. I got myself a 9 to 5 sort of for a while to keep things, afloat. So I've been training. I've been traveling all over Texas right now, and I'm actually in Seguin, Texas, uh, with my wingman,
Yeah.
um, and we're out here working.
You just heard one of mine. I don't know what he went wild about, but who can ever tell? Publio, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your two companies?
Okay, give me
And
1 second.
yep, okay. And
I'm
when
sorry, I'm back. AC
no,
was making all kinds of noise.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Go on ahead and why don't you do your introduction? Let's let people know what you've got going on.
Okay. Well, the big picture thing is Zafiri. It's another veteran friend of mine and I we're working now. We're starting to get collaborators in on it's a business consulting firm. It's actually going pretty quick. They're doing some really neat stuff. Unfortunately, I've had to back away a little bit because of family constraints and stuff, but it's fantastic. We're here to help businesses that are struggling with structure or money, cash flow, those kind of things, or that are having trouble working in this economy and the way it's working. Get some really smart guys and gals working with us now, and it's very humbling. My other thing I got going on is Davey, which I'm putting together, which I'm right now working with another guy named Z, great guy I met through Zach. Uh, we're trying to put together my website. I'm going to start doing some leadership courses for online for people to hopefully learn more about servant leadership. In my experience, or at least what I've seen in the past few years, is that people don't know really what leadership is. I mean, we're taught it in the military and we live it, but a lot of civilians, they're just kind of ad libbing it, and they think they know what they're talking about. And it's frustrating because I hear a lot of things about people worried about turnover and morale, and they're doing all the wrong things, which is unfortunate. So hopefully I can help that. My goal is really to help people get on top of these issues and hopefully have happy employees and have a happy workforce. But anyways, that's what I'm doing now. My day job, I'm actually back to managing plasma centers, which is interesting in itself. But I get a chance to meet a lot of people and talk to people and shake hands, and I would say kiss babies, but babies can't come in those places. Um, so it's a lot of fun. I enjoy people, so it's nice.
Um, one of the more unique things about what you've got going on with Zafiri is that you guys are not going to walk into a business and you're not going to sit there and go, you're not going to be yes men
No, no,
or
it
women.
can't be.
You're going
No.
to be, look, we're going to lay it out on the line, love it or leave it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We're going to tell you what we see. If you don't like it, well, sorry, right?
That's right. Some people don't like to hear that. Some people want people to come in and reaffirm, I guess, their thought process. But the thing is, if it's not working, it's not working. You have to look at it from another light. And sometimes you need that. It's almost like an intervention. You have all your friends over, you walk in, they all look, we got to talk, and that's the exact same thing. It's just that it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. And um, if anybody needs that help, let me know. Get in contact with me. And my goal is to help you be successful. And it's tough sometimes. I know.
Yep. Well, I am so thrilled that you have decided to take this journey with me. This is one of the shows that, and I love hearing that you're working with Z. He is
Yeah, I love that guy.
so talented. And yeah, I mean, he is seriously one of the most just even keeled, and he's got an energy to him that is hard to believe because he's so monotone.
And it's
I mean,
peaceful. I like it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel good every time I talk to him.
You know that if you're in an emergency situation, he's going to be the one who's going to keep his head and keep people safe. You just know that because he is that guy. So, but you can get a hold of Publio at 228-383-3169. Once again, that's 228-383-3169. You work all over the country, right?
Yeah, we'll go anywhere. The goal is to help people out, especially people that need it. You know, I mean, sometimes you don't know you need. If you know someone who needs that help or that somebody, let them know or let us know, and we'll try to help them out.
Well, that sounds great. You can also get him on his email at publio@zafiricorp.com. Once again, that's publio@zafiricorp.com. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now I am still on drugs. Okay, so if I start stumbling and biting my tongue and stuff, yeah, I probably just got hungry. You know, I haven't eaten much today. So, and I am a fat guy, so eating is important to me. We are thrilled to bring in our first guest. He is so important to me personally. I met Bart when, after he lost the woman he loved, he brought us donations of clothing that he was holding on to make sure that it got to the right people. And Bart cared enough to bring them to us because we give away the clothes for free. It's part of the Community Dare to Care program. And when Bart and I were sitting there talking, we got into the conversation about his wonderful program, Veterans Honoring Veterans. And we started talking a little bit more. And what could have possibly been a 10-minute conversation ended up being like an hour and 15 minutes. I think it was not a cool day. I mean, it was a pretty warm day, but this man means so much to me because of the trust that he puts into us and the support he gives us. One of the other great things about it is if you hire Publio to do a job, you can donate a portion to Bart and Veterans Honoring Veterans. We're going to bring on Bart now. Hello, my brother. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Zach. Doing great.
You know, Bart, we got to come and hang out with you again last Saturday as you guys were doing the presentation that you guys do at Golden Corral, honoring so many. You guys honor so many heroes. And the great thing about it is that you guys are not focused on like one era. They can be, and you're not focused on a war either. You're focused on the veteran themselves, right?
Yep. We're focused on the person, not what they did. Well, actually, yes, what they did, because if they raised their right hand, said that they would swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that's a veteran to me, whether they saw combat or not.
Right now, we're working to raise money mainly for Northern Colorado, but with financial support, you guys will have statues created and we'll ship them out.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about the statues? And I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to show the statues so people can see them as you're talking. But if you would like to tell us a little bit more about these statues and the story behind them, because I know Publio hasn't heard this yet, and I think that he's just absolutely going to love this.
Well, first thing I want to do is invite Publio to a breakfast. I know you're in Texas right now, but keep in mind that every Saturday morning, not once a month, not once a year, but every Saturday morning, we have a breakfast club at the Golden Corral in Loveland. It's called PAM Vets, Proud American Veterans, and we're averaging anywhere from 100 to 170 people every Saturday. We only had 140 something this last Saturday, but we've had over 230 some people come in, and 99% of those are veterans. So anyway, what Zach's showing you now is is a little, probably about 12, 15-inch resin statue of the different branches of service. We've got the 4 branches, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and the Navy and Coast Guard are synonymous. We just changed the name on the bottom of it because our uniforms are so much alike. And then the very bottom one, on I guess it would be on your right, is an American eagle with the wings extended out, the talons hanging on to a beautiful red, white, and blue American flag. That was the only thing we had for probably about the first 3 years of our program, because we didn't have the one that you see on the left. So we was giving that to all of our lady veterans who served our country. And then we come up with the other ones. Now they have an option. And the other one is just a young female who is standing at attention, saluting as she is in what depend on the branch, fatigues, camos, or whatever you want to call them, but it's pretty much their day-to-day work clothes. So now they have an option of having both of them. But those 6 statues, since we started in July of 2018, we have presented over 650 of them to veterans. And again, like Zach was saying, we focus mostly on northern Colorado, but we have expanded out. We're working on our website all the time. I got a couple gals that's trying to make things a little bit easier to get through there. Because I heard in kind of the commercial, if you don't tell people what you're doing and what's happening, they're not going to visit your website, and they're probably not going to come in and be part of your plan. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your suicide awareness, Zach.
Yeah, by all means, Bart. And Publio, if you have any questions, brother, this is your show, so please pipe in and ask any questions you have. Bart, like I said, Bart's a great guy, but yeah, go on ahead, Bart, please.
Well, the reason I want to talk about it is due to the fact that this month is Suicide Awareness Month, and last month up in Fort Collins, I was at a function. It was kind of a thank you picnic that the Veterans Plaza was doing on at Fort Collins, and
another great program.
Yeah, we had a table up there, and we were meeting veterans and talking to them as we were going through the day. And this young lady walked by, and she had a small boy with her, and as I do with everybody, I reach out and say hello and ask them if they are a veteran, and if they say no, I ask them if they have a family member or a friend that's a veteran. So when I reached out to this young lady, she said, "No, I'm not a veteran, but my son was a veteran." And I said, "Wait, well, great. We can honor family members, and we'd like to do that." And she approached the table, and she said, "Well, I lost my son in 2015 to suicide." Well, that kind of put a stop on my happy welcome, I want to give you a statue type thing. It kind of hit me right between the eyes. That I'd never had that happen to me before in this program, so I had to kind of regroup real quick and figure out how I was going to handle this and make it work. So I got to visiting with her a little bit, and when I told you at the onset, this is a young lady with a small boy. Well, she was a grandmother of this young boy, and she really don't look her age, and that's 100% compliment to her. And I won't be saying names, but should she see me doing this by just slim chance, she's going to know that it's all in retrospect at what a beautiful lady is. But anyway, long story short, I got to talk to her and ask her if it would be possible for our organization to get the information on her son and present her with a statue in remembrance of her son. And she humbly said, "Well, yes, she'd really like that." And so probably within a month, I talked her into coming and coming to a breakfast, and we presented her a statue. And as you were showing those pictures, uh, she's not on there yet because it was so recent that we haven't got them updated. But when I presented her the statue, her grandson was there, and her grandson quietly reached over and talked to Grandma and says, "Who's going to get that, Grandma? Is that going to be yours or mine?" And that was kind of cute. And she says, "Well," she says, I guess we'll have to talk about it." And they were both wearing T-shirts with hers saying "my son" and had his picture and his information on the U.S. Army, and his T-shirt said "my uncle" and his picture with the information on it. So they was representing him. Well, she was up at this function. Well, I take that back. Memorial Day. I'm getting ahead of it. Memorial Day is when I met her and the grandson, and then the picnic was kind of a follow up to all that stuff. That's when I found out the information about her, and then just recently we did the presentation. Well, I felt compelled to make sure that grandson was not disappointed, and Mom was not disappointed. So we made a duplicate statue, and
Nice.
she made sure her grandson had one of his uncles.
Look, I'm going to tell you, Bart. I think that's one of the things that I love about you the most is that you are willing to go be above and beyond for these families. When we did our first family Cubs and Causes, which I'm proud to announce we're going to be announcing number 2. Finally, we're going to do it again. But when we did that, we were able to honor a couple of veterans with their families. One of them being my uncle who passed just a few years ago. And then we also honored the family of the soldier that the park is named after.
Oh, wow.
Which was so cool because it was his nephew, if I remember correctly. It was like his great nephew or something like that.
Yeah,
But they had no idea that we were doing it. And the VFW called the family, and his nephew came down and accepted the wonderful gift. And it was so cool. And then I tell this story every time because this is one of the neatest things. Somebody gaffed on getting Bart all of the registration forms. I won't say his name or anything. I'll just let him go without anybody knowing who it was. But Bart presented an individual from Korea one of these statues, and this was one of his sample statues. So this one didn't have the little plaque to it or anything. This little old man, it was the cutest thing. It actually brought a tear to my eye. Took and grabbed that thing like it was an Oscar. This little man was so excited. And we were trying to tell him, "Sir, we're going to get you one with your name on it. It's going to be all yours." And he still didn't want to give it up. He just wanted to keep it. It is so neat watching these veterans be able to do what they should be getting, to feel honor and to be thanked for what they did, and the way that they react to it is one of the best things in the world. So
well, that is a big thing, and as Zach mentioned, this Korean War veteran assumed that was his, and it wasn't explained very well, and it took a couple explanations on our part, saying, "Well, this is just a mock-up of what they all look like. We'll get you a brand new one with all the information you did." And he still, like Zach said, he still didn't understand it, but we finally convinced him, and I went and got the nameplate and put it on there and then mailed it to him. So
That's awesome.
Now the end of the story, Zach, on this young lady, she's been participating in all types of events this month because of suicide awareness, and most of them are on the weekends. But at the plaza, when I talked to her and visited with her a little bit more, both of her daughters, one of her son-in-laws, all of her grandkids were all there because she was so impressed with what's going on in the veteran community. And then she was going to come up and see me and introduce all of her family to me. That I asked her, I said, with your passion coming to breakfast and seeing what's going on and what you do outside the community, what would you think about being a volunteer with Veterans Honoring Veterans? She said, well, I think that'd be great. And the kids heard that and say, that is what mom needs, because mom is still pretty hurt. It's only been, it's been several years, but that hurt don't go away. And
no, never.
The reason will never be known, but she is now a volunteer with Veterans Honoring Veterans, and we're just happy to have her, and we'll find her a job to do. But this is a passion, and like you said, with this little Korean War veteran, I've seen tears come from Vietnam, World War II, Korean eyes, just because somebody said thank you to them by handing them something that is a $1.98 at the store. It don't have a lot of value, but it has a lot of meaning. And that's the win-win in this thing. When like you said, when he got a hold of that statue, that was an Oscar to him.
He was not going to let that go. Hey, everybody, I'd like to introduce, this is Jerry Clayton. He is my father. And my dad served in the Vietnam era. Bart, you remember my dad?
Yep. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we were in Germany towards the tail end of Vietnam. Dad was communications.
6th Station Technical Control. 2 Delta.
So,
Two
and one of the reasons I want my dad to be a big part of this show because of his veteran background, but I think that he is just perfect for this show because of this reason right here. And Publio, if you look up here.
Oh, look at that.
My dad got his own, and I get to do this now. Oh, come on, get that light out of there. But it has his name. It has his, everything that you need in it.
Berlin.
Vietnam era, Berlin, everything that it's about the individual.
Yeah.
It's about them, and that's what makes these so special. Dad, tell me, what was the first thing that you felt when you got that? The statue, yeah, when you were awarded that.
Well, I feel great, that somebody is paying attention and doing giving it, thinking of it and giving it to me. I liked it. I mean, I was kind of proud, I didn't spend any time in Nam, but I was in Berlin.
Clayton, that's what I tell everybody. It doesn't matter where you went, and I'm going to give a short explanation of what to me what a veteran is. Clayton, let's say you and we're pretty close to the same age, and we're buddies in high school, and we decide that we want to join the military.
Right.
And we know there's a war going on in Vietnam, but we go down to recruiter and we go to basic training. From the time we raised our right hand until we graduated from basic training, we had no idea where we was going to be assigned.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we was going to be handed a rifle and a backpack and say, go to Vietnam, or if we was going to be handed a pencil and pushed at a desk and say, okay, now you're going to be writing orders and I'll sign them and you send those guys over to Vietnam. It didn't make any difference when you raised your right hand in boot camp, because you said, I will go anywhere. I will do anything.
I have property.
You betcha. You are their property. You will do whatever you're told. And if you don't volunteer, they'll voluntold you.
Yeah.
I love that.
So,
In there.
so that's what a veteran is.
Yeah.
I decided on 4 years, and I think Clayton, you decided on 4 years. But here,
Yeah.
Publio, he did 20, and
Wow,
God bless
great.
you for doing that.
Yeah, that's great. I wish truly wish I would have extended it in my full lifetime looking back. However, I wasn't 74 back then. So
Uh,
I was gonna say, I really got to get one of these for my father-in-law. My father-in-law, Jim Talbot, he's ex-army. I think during the same era, and he was in, I think it was mobile infantry, like cavalry for the army. And they used to do
First Cav?
reconnaissance. Yeah, he's a great guy, but he's starting to get older, and I think this would be fantastic for him. I'm gonna have to get with you, Bart, on that.
Well,
yeah,
that's-
yeah. I gave you guys an introduction over the email. I'd love for you guys to keep in
Yeah.
contact. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything that we can do to maybe help raise a little bit of money so we can get that done, that would be great.
One
Amen.
thing that well, I like it all, but when I do an individual, it's wonderful. But when I can do a family is so important. This last Saturday, did you get there in time for the presentation, Zach?
Yeah, well, I caught the very tail end of it. I think we got the one that was so I thought was so unique was the founder or the main character for Pam Vet. You guys were honoring him. That's one that I was able to see.
Okay,
for.
right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I saw like two more before him.
This last week, real quick, and not to try to focus on this too much, but I've been, and I'm going to use the term chasing. I've been chasing this young female Marine for at least a year.
You're too old for that.
Huh?
I said you're too old for that.
No, I'm not. Never too old. Anyway, by the means of chasing, trying to get her convinced to receive a statue. She was in OIF and OEF, and she felt that Vietnam, Korea, and World War II are more important, and I appreciate that, and I love her for that, because to her, she should think that those wars were more important than her war. But she is now just as important. She is in that category. So anyway, I talked to her about 3 weeks ago, and I asked her once again. I said, "How are we going to convince you to receive a statue? Because we feel that you're just as deserving as everybody." She says, "Let me ask you a question, Bart." She says, "My mom lives out of state, and she's coming to town, and she was also a Marine." I raised up my hands. I said, "Fantastic." I said, "Yeah, let's do that." I said, "We can get them both at the same time." And then she stopped me and she says, and my dad was a Marine too, and my dad's passed now. I said, "Well, not a problem."
you
I
could get
said,
a
"What
statue.
we'll do it posthumously for him," and kind of like we did the founder of the name at the park up there in Eaton, or all Eaton,
And my Uncle Bill on that same
and
day.
your Uncle Bill. So anyway, last Saturday, she got her mother to come to breakfast just as a guest to sit down and see what was going on. Had no idea she was going to get a statue. Had no idea that I had one for her late husband. So when I announced the daughter to come up and gave her statue, Mom just sat there just a clapping and just as proud as she could be. And then I stopped and I said, "Also, at breakfast today, we have Shannon's mother, who is also a Marine. And Sherry, would you please come up and accept this statue from us?" Well, they both got the Eagles. And then I said, "Sherry," I said, I'm sad to have to bring this up again, but I understand you lost your husband. And I said, he was also a Marine. So would you honor us to let us give you a statue in memory of your husband? Well, you talk about tears flowing. There was just a mass of mascara on the floor of the Golden Corral for about 3 days because mom just lost it. When mom lost it, daughter lost it, and then sort of the crowd started losing it. So
Yep.
it was a very, very emotional, well received 3 statues by those 3 gals. So you and your, did you say Uncle Publio?
No, my father-in-law, and
Father-in-law.
actually
Okay.
his sister, my aunt-in-law, something like that.
Yeah.
She was in the Army and the Navy too, and I was just writing you a message to see if I could get because their whole family's military.
Absolutely. You know,
they're wonderful people.
if you can hold it down to 7 family members because we start running out of room at the Golden Corral to put all those people in. No, I'm just joking. If you had 10, we would try to do it.
I want to share this with everyone because this is one of the ways that you can support Bart and veterans honoring veterans simply by again shopping with someone like Publio. Simply use his business, utilize his coaching, and all you have to do is scan this QR code you see up in the corner. You scan this QR code and you add the receipt or the invoice Publio is going to give you. And Publio has dedicated a referral to us at Community Pay It Forward. That referral is going to turn into an 80% donation of whatever we get. 80% of that is going to go to veterans honoring veterans or whoever you choose to support. It's one of the easiest ways possible to donate. And you know, the greatest thing about this is, folks, we're not asking you to pull your wallet out of your pants. We're asking you to do the business that you got to do. Publio needed a new website, and now with this website, he's going to be able to make a donation to someone. As soon as that website's done, he's going to be able to take and make a donation to someone simply because he went to the great Mr. Z, and we're going to take and go from there. And Publio's going to tell us, hey, you know what? I want this money to go to wherever he sends it. And that's how this works. It's so simple to do. If you want this QR code, simply send me an email or give me a call, or go to the website. You can find it on the website. In the search bar, just hit Veterans Honoring Veterans. It'll pop up. You'll have this QR code and the QR codes of all of our other partners. But it's as simple as that. You scan this QR code and you go. So,
and I want to throw in a plug there. If anybody's looking for web stuff, Z is phenomenal. He's a great guy, very, very smart, very, very. I'm humbled to be talking to him when I do. He's a great guy, and so if you get that opportunity to work with him, he's phenomenal.
We were talking about that earlier. It's like, if you're ever in a building that's on fire, he's the guy that you're going to want in there because he's going to be so calm and he's going to lead, he's going to save lives. So, Bart, why don't you go on ahead and tell us the story about why you started Veterans Honoring Veterans? I love this story, so I want to hear it again.
All right. Anytime I get to talk, I'm happy to talk. I'm like a chatty Cathy, baby. Give me the microphone. Anyway.
My friend, you're always welcome to come to this house and talk whenever you want.
Thank you very much. I was at a ship's reunion. My ship got decommissioned in 1970, and since that decommissioning, we've had a reunion ever since. We've had over 50 reunions now, just because we want to. And I'm proud to say I'm currently the president of our reunion committee, and we're getting ready to have another reunion in November. But anyway, I'm at this ship's reunion, and my wife's still alive, and we're at the banquet on Saturday night, and things are going on like banquets do, and drawings, and winning this, winning that, and stuff like this. And then they introduced this one former sailor of the ship, and he gets up there, and he's in full uniform, a Navy commissioned officer, lieutenant commander, which is like a major. And he comes up there and he talks a little bit and he says, "Would John Doe please come up?" And when John Doe came up there, "John Doe, I want to thank you for doing this and doing that and doing this," and handed him one of these little statues of a sailor. And boy, the applause just went great. And they did one more. And I'm thinking, well, God, that's pretty cool. So the night went on and the banquet's running down and I go find him and I just asked him, I said, "Hey, is this a franchise?" I said, "Are these all over the United States? Can you buy into them?" Or what? He said, "No." He said, my home state," he says, "I found a person that makes these statues or has access to these statues and I buy them from her and I give them away." I said,
Oh,
"Well,"
wow.
I said, "that's pretty cool." I said, "With your permission." He said, "You don't have to have my permission." I said, "Sir, you're a commander and I wasn't." I said, "With your permission, I'd like to go ahead and continue with this." He says, "All right." So I went and I started my own nonprofit. I came back, found 5 or 6 people, one civilian. So I get the civilians feedback and stuff like that. And then I got 5 other veterans. And now I've got, I think, 15 volunteers and 11 board members. And
Wow.
we've had a nonprofit going on for quite a while. 2021 and 2022, we were close to shutting the doors because we were going from weekend to weekend to trying to keep the statues going because they cost a little bit to get the statue made and then the nameplate put on there. So they're absolutely not free. But our goal is we will not have a veteran pay anything for them. We give them to them absolutely free, and that's the goal because we want to thank them. And if I sell it to you, why thank you? Other than being a wholesaler now, and I don't want to do that. So anyway, we've been doing, like I said earlier, we're damn near at 700, but we've presented over 650 statues since we started, and it's just great. You talk about Z being a firefighter. I'm proud to say I'm a 22-year ex-state patrolman here in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
And did that for a career, and it just really enjoyed that. Now the firefighters make friends. We cops, we don't make very many friends. we don't get Christmas baskets for Christmas and a bottle.
Well, you damn well should. and if they knew you, I'm pretty sure they would give you. I mean, you are one of the kindest people I've ever met. Bart, that's actually something, and shame on me for not doing this. That's something that we never bring up enough is your service as an officer. I've had you on my podcast maybe 5 times now, and I've kind of neglected to bring that up, and shame on me for doing that. But that was almost like serving again, wasn't it?
Well, as you led into this, what the name of your show is, serving the country and community. That's kind of what we're talking about. Is I was proud to be a veteran to serve my country, and I got out. I wasn't out but 3 years, and I was in the state patrol. And again, I raised my hand to protect the state of Colorado and anybody that comes into it. So it was an honor to do that. And when I said I don't make friends, you really don't. But if they can drive away, maybe not until the ink's dry on their ticket. When they drive away, they might say sometime, I deserve that. I'm kind of glad he did that. It made me wake up. I probably should pay a little bit more attention. So I say to myself that I might have touched somebody in my career that might have appreciated either
I'm sure you did.
with a warning or a ticket or whatever. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to
I
it.
bet money on that.
Did Publio, did you have any questions?
No, it's wonderful to meet you, Bart. I'm really excited about hitting you up on these statues because I know that what makes this thing so great that you're doing is that I know a lot of veterans sometimes get mixed up in the wash and lose, I guess that that identity and that respect that comes with, the sacrifice. And the sacrifice sometimes is not what we all think it is. Sometimes it's something that's, I mean, could be inside and it hurts. And like you mentioned before, the Suicide Awareness Month, I've got, friends of mine in the military who have passed from self-inflicted or, health issues and stuff. And it's tragic in any way. And I hate that they pass from our memory and I don't know. I get emotional on it too because I've got some very good friends that passed recently, and I appreciate what you're doing.
We don't have an outreach other than this. We have a business card that we give for the PAMVET breakfast, and our one of our goals now is just to get you into breakfast to see the camaraderie of 150 veterans sitting down from 30 years old to 100 years old.
It's awesome.
We got World War II guys in there that are a couple have been 100 or are 100 years old. So, and if we can get someone in, whether it be a Vietnam who's still struggling or now a Gulf War veteran that is really struggling because it's so fresh, if we can get them in there somehow to see what's going on, and then get their name and present them with the statue. That's a possibility. We don't know who we're saving.
Yeah.
When you befriend someone, you wear a hat. I wear a hat. When I'm in a mall, I'm looking for hats because I want to make sure everybody knows that I appreciate what they did, and there's other people that appreciate it too. Come to breakfast, and I'll prove it to you. Because we introduce you. We applaud you, and
that's awesome.
We start out with a pledge and a prayer. It's just great. So what I'll do is I've got your email address. What I'll do is I will send you a form to fill out for you and your family, and then I'll contact you, and then we'll figure out a day that all three of you, when you're in state, and you can all come on the same Saturday. We'll work it out.
Okay, and I'll tell you, we're going to be going up to Colorado soon because, like I told Zach a while back, I'm going to be a grandfather and my son's in Colorado. But on another note, I wanted to put this out too, is that I've got my son, or my other son, and my kind of adopted nephew into the family are both looking at joining the Army in the next month. And one of the things that I've talked to both of them about was the fact that it's camaraderie you'll never see anywhere else. And it's something that, because they're a little bit concerned. Of course, their mothers are concerned, and I'm hearing that part too. But the thing is, they're good kids, and they're going to make me proud, and they're going to love every minute of it. And I'm excited for them.
I would just like to, I would like to say, if you get them into something like PAMVET, it's a lot, it shows them that it's not just camaraderie of one person and their platoon. This is from generation to generation to generation.
That's incredible.
And it's not like, and please believe me when I say this is no bash on the VFWs or anything like that, but this is not a social club. This is men and women who have served our country out there celebrating each other. And they're there to enjoy a breakfast and talk, and it's such a beautiful thing. It really is. And Bart, you guys have one individual who was in, I could be wrong here, but wasn't he in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam?
Yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
He
is the cutest little old man.
30-year Navy guy. Publio.
But he's tough as nails.
Well, he's not as tough as nails anymore, but he's got a pretty good grip on him. But he was on a cargo ship, a merchant ship in Okinawa in 1945, close to the end of the war, and his ship got hit by a suicide plane.
Oh wow!
And it blew up, and it blew up in the front part of the ship, and he got some shrapnel from it, and he's 98 years old. He's starting to have some arthritis in his knees. It's caused him some discomfort, but
Starting?
Yeah. Oh, he still tools
yeah.
around, and
yeah,
Wow.
he
Yeah.
does. Yeah. Did you have any questions or any comments?
No, I mean, it's great to see support for the veterans. I know the people that went to Nam came back and wasn't really received very well. And like my cousin Barry, and
well, see,
Yeah.
Clayton,
so
we're having
Go
an
ahead.
opportunity. We're having an opportunity to thank those Vietnam veterans
Right.
that were disrespected. We're not pointing that out. We're not saying, "Hey, come up, Vietnam veteran. Here's something that we'll give you now because you didn't get it back then." But when they get it, a lot of them say, "I didn't get this when I came back. Nobody said thank you. Nobody cared. They didn't like us. We had baby killers. They treated us like hell." Hey,
And it's subtle.
I want to point out your shirt, Clayton. I love the American flag, and I'm glad you got your shirt. I gotta show off my shirt. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I can,
There you go.
Oh, look at that. I've seen the commercials for those.
I am a veteran like my father. I love that. Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
we can honestly say that both of my grandfathers were also in World War II, and they both they both have. Grandpa Crawford was in the Navy, and my grandpa Dorwin, my dad's dad, he was a medic. And
Oh, wow.
what you're doing, Bart, the subtlety of it is just something to where, to somebody who's outside the loop, they may just be sitting there going, "Oh, isn't that cute?" But inside, when you get one of these, the little man who took this thing and grabbed it like it was an Oscar.
Wish we would have videotaped that.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I wish we would have too. That would have been fun.
Yeah. We're gonna start. I would like to start recording them and putting them on a podcast or something for you guys, because I think, one, I think that the veterans deserve it, and two, I think you guys deserve it, because what you guys are doing is so great.
You guys
So-
are part is fantastic. Oh, I wanted to
Thank
point
you,
something out real
Clint.
quick.
Well,
Both my grandfathers were military members too. My grandfather on my mother's side was a Marine, and my grandfather on my father's side was in the Army, artillery, I think.
well,
A lot of family.
Your dad actually had a Silver Heart for the medic in the army, from the army.
wow.
Wow.
So, and it's so funny, and I was thinking about this, Bart, when I met the individual that we were just talking about, the 30-year, how physically, how much smaller they are. I saw my grandfather's coat, his service jacket, and I was looking at it, and I'm like going, I couldn't have fit in that thing when I was 7, and I definitely couldn't have fit in it now. I mean, we've all seen the movie Fat Guy in a Little Shirt. Yeah, well, this wouldn't have even, I'd have more chance getting into a onesie, I think. But it's it's amazing that with all the troubles in Publio, I want to give your family, I want to give them all the kudos in the world. We've got 1% right now of our kids are joining the service.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't want to get into anything political here. Don't dare I do that. But they're being disrespected. They're not being treated like a hero should be treated. These people give up their lives.
Yeah.
They're told, "Hey, you know who you are? That ain't you no more. Now you're who I tell you you are." What's the old saying? Your heart better belong to Jesus because your ass belongs to me.
Yeah.
this is really what, these kids are going through. And right now we've got a real problem with getting kids to join the service. And I do suggest, Publio, if you can, find something like a Pam Vet, because it's a wonderful program, and get those kids in there and introduce them. They're wonderful, wonderful individuals in there too. I mean, they walk around the stores, walk around the restaurant, they play with the kids, they do, they see kids at the tables and they'll walk up to them, and you got a guy in there that makes little wooden crosses and does things with flags and stuff like that. You graciously gave me my coin, and I love these coins.
It's cool.
And an awesome bracelet. I am proud to be a small piece of veterans honoring veterans. It is one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite missions. It truly is, because you're one of my favorite people. So, to be honest with
Zach,
you.
Zach, I can say all the same thing about you, buddy. You're just, you're an inspiration of what you're doing and how hard you work to keep this going. I can't get on all of your pods, but by God, I tell you what, I don't know how you do it. You just burning the candle both ends, and coming today when you should probably laying down resting and trying to feel a little bit better. You're going above and beyond. So thank you for what you do and how you reach out to the public, and how I met you and what you did for me, making sure that my wife's clothing would find a good home.
Like I said, that was a very, very special introduction to me, because of what it meant to you and what it meant to your wife. And so just going from there, and then just building this relationship, you helping me honor my father and my uncle, that meant so much to me. And I'll never forget that. So
Thanks so much.
your website, Bart, is veteranshonoringveterans.org.
Correct.
Your Facebook page, I believe, is NOCO Veterans Honoring Veterans, is it not?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. There is another Veterans Honoring Veterans out there, so just please remember to put that NOCO, which stands for Northern Colorado Veterans Honoring Veterans. And
that's the Facebook.
Yeah, that's the Facebook.
There shouldn't be another veteranshonoringveterans.org though.
Okay.
Right.
We've got that tied up. We own that.
Well, I know I'm
If there
sharing
is,
it.
I got to find out who they are.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Bart, I would like to offer you thanks first off for being our first guest. And Publio, please, if you have anything that you would like to say, was there anything special that you learned today from Bart, or is there anything that you would like to ask him or say?
Well, actually, I really am just impressed. One of the things that make me feel good about being a veteran and having served is just the people that I come in contact with because of it. I mean, Bart, you're an inspiration, and I don't want to. And I think you're right. Zach is an inspiration too. What Zach does is phenomenal, and I'm always in awe, and I'm in awe of both you gentlemen. Actually, all three.
I tell you
Your dad
what,
too.
we got a pretty good group of great guys right here, and that's what it takes. And I'm proud to be associated with all of you, and that hopefully we can continue this relationship in more than one way.
Well, I'll tell you this, Bart, we ain't going anywhere. We're going to be an annoyance until you get rid of us. So
You get a bother, and you'll probably be trying to get rid of us by the end of it.
Well, I tell you what, as long as there's veterans out there, I'll be doing this as long as I'm able. I got you by a year, Zach or Clayton. So we're both up there. I just hit that 3/4 of a century, and I thought, oh no, but I'm fine. Feel great.
Feel great. Yeah.
yeah, you had to go and do that 70, 50-year thing. I was born in 71, and yeah,
We're
so
70.
Yeah, and I was like going, "Oh my God, that reminds me. I'm about ready to go 52. So, damn, that means you're old."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you're a member of the Half a Hun Club.
Have fun.
Have fun. I like that. I like that.
I think, the truth about it is that birthday thing, you're just 1 second older on your birthday, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That's
yep.
it. You're just 1 second older. That's all.
I tell everybody
Get that
enjoy the
age
day. I say enjoy the day before.
right.
Yeah.
Enjoy that day before because you don't know what's going to happen the day after.
Once
Well,
you're out,
You
right?
ain't ever gonna be any younger either. So,
That's right. Hey, I got another place. I gotta be. I would like to go ahead and get permission, sir, to bail out just a little bit early, and you can tell the truth about me after I'm gone.
I couldn't tell more of the truth than what I've already told. Bart,
Yeah.
thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah, Bart,
I'll
it was a
I'll
pleasure.
be in touch with you and send you those forms, and then we'll work out when we get the family together. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being part of a great country, even though we're trying to tear it apart from the inside.
Yep. Well, my love to you, and I hope to see you here in about 2 weeks.
Okay. God bless
All
you
right.
guys.
God bless.
All right. Thank you. Bart Bartholomew. Uh-oh. Get back
Nope.
on here. I don't. He hung up, and I took you off the screen. What a wonderful first guest, huh?
Yeah, he was fantastic. I really am very impressed. It touched me. It immediately thought about some people that I know that deserve. I hate to use the word deserve, but I guess that this level of respect and honor would be beneficial to them.
It is, Publio. Like I said, it's one of those things that they don't base this off a deserve thing. It's
Yeah.
if you served, it's yours. That's and I think that's one of the coolest things about it is it's not full of a bunch of stipulations. It's not
Yeah.
if you were in war. We only deal with pre or post 9/11, or you've
Yeah.
got to be of certain height or anything like that. This is, what? You raised your right hand, you served honorably. We've got something for you. And I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, me too.
So, but Deb, do you have any final words you want to say?
Well, I just know, that life and it's going to continue, and we're up for some problems.
Yeah.
So being together, being a group, that I
Yeah.
don't like that either. That word group, right? But being together, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We're possibly heading for problems, but folks, we just showed you 4 people right here that where who knows? Definitely backgrounds are a little bit different. Politics may be a little bit different. Whatever that is, we're still together looking for a positive way to change things. Look, we can get along no matter who you voted for, no matter if you're Muslim, I'm Christian, you're Muslim, whatever. I'm Buddhist. None of that matters. We're all human beings. And this right here is one of those shows that I think we can do a lot, Publio.
Oh,
You,
yeah.
myself, my father when he wants to join, and all of our guests. I think
That's
that our
awesome.
goal is to make sure that people understand, look, we're in this to make a difference.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, times are tough right now for us veterans and for the military and for the civilians. But I have faith in the American people. And I think that we're going to fix it. And I think that it's going to be wonderful, and it's gonna prove that we still have that spirit. But bear in mind, just got finished reading the biography of General Grant from the Civil War, and then now I'm reading a book called Hunter Killers about the Vietnam wild weasel. So I'm a little motivated right now, but I think we're going to do well. I think we'll recover. I have faith.
Yeah, that the book, and I'll have to look it up, but the book that was written about Grant, that is, it's like
It's good.
50 hours long. I can't
Yeah.
remember who wrote it. One of my favorite books of all time. You really get to go into somebody. I also listened to a really good book on one of our most troubled heroes of all time, Patton.
Oh yeah.
He had a lot of issues. He wasn't a good guy by no means, but
But he was a man. It wasn't
But he-
like he was.
yeah, and he was dedicated to this
Yep.
country. That's it.
Mhm.
He was dedicated to this country 100%. So
Yeah, he was amazing though. I mean, Patton. He was an Olympian. He had fought. He was. I think he was the first person to use mobilized or mobile vehicles with weapons fighting Pancho Villa.
yeah,
He developed a sword that'll be the best version of the sword ever. I mean, the guy was phenomenal. But he was kind of he was a hard ass. But I mean, he was a man's man.
Yep. Yep. So Publio,
Yes, sir.
great first show. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's always good to see you, and it's nice to see you. I'm gonna just call you Dad. That's okay?
It's
That's fine.
yeah, Dad or Jerry. Jerry.
Just
yeah.
say, hey, you. That's okay.
Just call him Pops. That's
Pops.
fine. So
Well, it's
but-
good to see you, sir. Thank you for your service too.
Thank you. Thank you for yours. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
20 years. That's great.
It helps
So-
support my ex-wives.
That's important,
I
right?
hope my wife.
Oh, we don't want to go there. All right. Well,
Okay.
brother, man, again, I want to thank you so very much.
Yes, sir.
And we will see you next month when we do this again. We're going to make sure that we get a couple more guests on, introduce you guys to some more people. But thank you for having us here on your first show, and I will talk to you soon, okay?
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, we are going to end this first segment of the show by showing you the video of the individual we've been talking about, the great Mr. Z.
Yeah, that's ugly.
Okay.
Well, thank you, sir.
We're excited to announce that we have signed excited to announce that we have signed with Jeff Pearson from Hydro with Hope. Jeff, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, man. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you having me on here. This is awesome.
You know, this is one you and I have talked twice before, which because you and I are very, very similar in one aspect. We both have brain trauma. We both have brain injuries. So that's something very, very well. People with brain injuries, it's nice to be able to talk to somebody who can kind of understand a little bit about what we're going on. The one thing that you and I have come to an agreement on, though, is my brain injury is not going to be exactly like your brain injury. And there's that problem that both of us have when somebody sits there and says, well, I understand you. No, you don't. No, you don't.
I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and or the one that I mentioned yesterday, welcome to my club or welcome to my world. I'd love to be in your world for a little bit, but tell us a little bit about what you went through and why you started Hydro with Hope. We'll get into more about what Hydro with Hope is, but tell us a little bit about your story, because I mean, your story's a tough one.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, man. This is gonna be awesome, and I am always up for going on, more shows and stuff that makes sense. This aligns so well, and I'm so grateful to be here. So my story starts at about 2 weeks old, and don't worry, we're not going to be here forever, but I'll fast forward through some of it. But at 2 weeks old, that's when I was first diagnosed with hydrocephalus. They did all the regular measurements at birth, did all the regular measurements at the 2-week checkup, and said, that head measurement's a little big. Let's figure out what's going on. They did a CAT scan. They figured out one of my ventricles in my brain was blocked, and they said, nope, that's hydrocephalus. We need to do brain surgery so we can install a shunt. And so that's what they did. At 2 weeks old, I went under the knife for my first brain surgery, and probably terrified my parents. Honestly, I can't imagine. I've got 3 kids, and our son went through surgery at about a month old, and it was absolutely terrifying. So I can't imagine brain surgery. But so shunt, that is what they did. They put in a shunt, which is back here behind my right ear, and it goes has a little piece that goes straight into my brain through a hole in my skull, and then it pumps the fluid out and reabsorbs, drains down a cord, and then reabsorbs into my body. So it does what everybody else's, most people's brains do automatically. And so that was my introduction to the world, so to speak, was brain surgery at 2 weeks old. Fast forward through to about 38 years old, I had a very normal childhood. The surgeries, I had a couple revisions, couple brain surgeries through childhood and high school. They all went well. Everything was cool. And then up until about 36, all was well. I got married in 1999, and we had kids and moved to where we live now, and it was awesome, and everything was cool. And then all of a sudden, I started having surgeries again, and starting in 2013, and I had an emergency surgery in 13, 14, 18, and 21, 2 and 14 actually. And the reason Hydro with Hope is around is because of a follow-up appointment I had following a neurosurgery I had in 2018. My wife and I are sitting in the waiting room, kind of just, or in the, not the big waiting room, but the little one. They say, okay, the doctor will see you now. And then you go sit for a little while in the little one. And we're sitting there and we're listening. And the couple in the next room is talking to somebody, and you can tell they're kind of distraught, and I was like, oh man, I wonder if it just went through my head. I wonder if they're finding out their baby's going to have brain surgery for the first time. It just flashed in my brain. I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what my parents felt like. What could I imagine they must have felt like going through that? And so right then we're like, we got to do something. I can't just sit here. And so that's kind of where the the beginning thoughts of what Hydro with Hope would eventually turn into began. And, are we going to do brick and mortar? Are we going to do like a storefront? Are we going to do, an office, or are we going to do online? We ended up going online because that's where you get the best exposure and you can reach anyone in the world, so that's what we did. And we launched in 2022, April of 2022.
Why was there such an increase on the surgery starting in your 30s?
That's a good question. That's one of those I'd love to ask God, someday when I get to heaven and say, hey, what was going on there? Why then? But I mean, I'm thankful that they did, because all of this wouldn't be going on. I mean, we wouldn't have Hydro with Hope. I wouldn't have my TV show. All of this would be, it'd be totally different. I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't had those. So I'm grateful for them, but I honestly don't know, because it's funny, because brain surgery comes about for many different reasons. A revision on a shunt, in 2014, I had to have 2 within 24 hours. And it was because I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks, and it was because there was a bacterial infection in a pocket of cerebral spinal fluid that wasn't reabsorbing into my body, and it was collecting down here in my abdomen. And they didn't want it to travel up the tube and get into my shunt and get into my brain, of course, because a bacterial infection in the brain is really bad. So they did what they needed to prevent that from happening, and had me in the hospital for about 3 weeks to basically clear as much bacteria from the CSF as possible with antibiotics. And then they finally did the revision, and then they had to do another one within 24 hours because the first one didn't take. And so they 2 brain surgeries within 24 hours, and then I was out. So, and in 2018, it was because of the excess scar tissue, which every surgery creates scar tissue. Mm-hmm. So I'm basically held together by scar tissue here. And so in 2018, that was the problem. The scar tissue caused enough of a problem that the fluid wasn't reabsorbing. So there's another revision. And in 2021, it was because the little tiny piece that goes from the shunt into the brain, into the ventricle in the brain, was almost 100% clogged. So it wasn't doing its job, and I could feel it for sure. So it's all different reasons, but it all breaks down to the same conclusion, and that's almost always brain surgery. So
I know that your brain is one of the organs that in my case, I had blood on the brain. They didn't do it. They didn't have to do much because they thought that the brain was just going to do what it did, and it absorbed it. I ended up with a concussion and everything else, dealing with what I deal with now. It had not a lot to do with that. So I'd imagine it's generally probably quite a bit of water on the brain or fluid on the brain, because if your brain can't sop it up, then there's probably got to be quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, it's a case by case thing, of course. But when you're a baby, when you're that young, at 2 weeks old, your skull hasn't fully formed even. So yeah. So yeah, the excess fluid, you've got a little more time actually. If you're diagnosed really young, it's actually in a way advantageous, because your skull hasn't fused together yet at that age, and so if there is excess fluid, it can temporarily expand the skull because it's not fused together yet, and then so that gives them a little extra time sometimes to drain off the fluid, find the cause, fix the cause, do the shunt, whatever, and drain off that fluid through the shunt. And so I feel fortunate that was the time that they found it. People that find out later in life, you can be diagnosed with hydrocephalus anytime in your lifetime, depending on circumstances. So you never know. But I feel fortunate that I was diagnosed early enough that they were able to do what they did. So
why don't you go on ahead and tell us about what your mission is at Hydro with Hope? Sorry.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. Hydro with Hope is is our nonprofit that we established in 2023, 2022, excuse me, April of 2022, to help families that have children or family members that have hydrocephalus. And part of the reason that we did that, we saw there's so many wonderful organizations out there that are designed around the diagnosis of hydrocephalus, and they all have kind of their niche, right? They all have their thing. Some are there for more, like, we want to fund more research, we want to raise more money for this and that, and different things like, yeah, and they're all valuable and they're all wonderful. For us, we kind of wanted to go the practical route and say, what can we do for you now? You just found out your baby's going to have brain surgery. You're probably freaking out. What can we do now? So we designed Hydro with Hope to be more of a practical application type thing. And one of the things we did the first thing we did actually was craft a journal called My Hydro Warrior Story. And that journal is designed to walk people through from that first moment of, oh my gosh, whoa, hold on, my baby's gonna have what kind of surgery? Excuse me? And what that all entails, and that mind exploding moment, and then walks them through the hospital stay, the different things, the different times and emotions that you might be feeling. Yeah, perfect. I love that. Thank you. And so it's all in there. And then once you go home, what do you do then? And then in the very back, there's actually a place where you can kind of keep some medical record keeping back there with where was the surgery, when was the surgery, who was the surgeon, what was the outcome. There's a lot of blank pages in there to kind of information download or emotional download. This is and so you're showing it on there. I've got a copy right here as well. And there's some pages there, and some of you just kind of scroll, turn the pages, and you can see, kind of some of the different things. There's a picture for you get some gnarly scars with this, so you get to, post a picture about that. So it's just, we felt like it was a needed tool that I didn't see out in the marketplace yet. And so this is the only thing out there like it. And we actually did something that I know it's really small. It's kind of might feel almost look like a mistake, but on the spine here, I've got a little blank spot. And that's because, I've had 7 brain surgeries.
Right.
So if I were to have a journal for every surgery, which is the idea to have, because there's a date in here that's like, my surgery was on, date. And so the idea is to fill in, put a number like a 1 or a 2 or a 6 or a 30 or a 52 or however many surgeries you've had. And then next time you go to see the surgeon about that surgery, you go, oh, which one is it? Oh, it's that one. Pull it off the shelf, take it with you. You don't have to remember as much. You've got it written down, which is huge because I don't know if anybody knows about the geography of the brain, but back here is part of the memory part of the brain is back here, and that's where all the hacking around gets to happen. And so, as you can imagine, as you can relate, I'm sure.
Yeah, because my injury
memories.
is in my vascular region, so
Exactly.
so yeah, I understand that.
And so that's why I put that in there. I thought of that at the like right when we were done getting ready to push it out. I said, wait a second, I have an idea. And we put that on there, and I'm so glad we did. So, but yeah, it's fantastic. My parents actually wrote the foreword in the beginning of the journal. We've got a little about Jeff and a little bit of kind of what the design of the journal is and what Hydro with Hope is, and it's all in there. And then it's your story. It's called My Hydro Warrior Story for a reason. So it's everybody's individual story about their surgeries. So.
What did your parents tell you when you said, look, I had this feeling that these parents were hearing this and that they were finding out that their child had to go through these surgeries? And all I could think of, Mom and Dad, is back when you had to find out. What did your parents say to you?
They were really excited. they didn't know exactly what to think because they hadn't seen the journal yet. They're like, well, cool. That sounds really cool. What's it going to look like, And then when I got it done and sent it to them and sent them the file, with all the tech, with all the layout and everything, and said, would you consider writing the forward for it, you guys? And they were just, they were excited to do it. They were so happy and just loved it. They're like, man, this would have been great when we, over the years of you growing up. So they graciously wrote an amazing forward, and it's in there, and it brings tears to my eyes just to read it every time. It's so good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You started a TV show on E360 TV. And you started it because of, and I love this, you and I have both talked about this. We have both heard it's no big deal. People don't understand sometimes when you're in a situation, when you're in a crowded room, if your brain's not firing right, there might only be 5 or 6 people in a room, but there'll be so much around you that you're just going to be like going, I can't be in here. I just cannot be in here.
Yeah. I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the ways that you and your wife, because, I talk to my wife where we've got subtle clues that, and I'll just say, you know what, if I ever walk up to you and I don't introduce you, it's because I don't remember my name. My wife is supposed to say, well, my husband's a jerk. Hi, I'm Adrian. Your name is. I just gave out one of my biggest secrets of all time. So, I
didn't hear
not
a thing.
remembering your name, I'm not going to sit there and make an ass out of myself. I'll let my wife make an ass out of me. So it's okay that way. What are some of do you and your wife, do you have kind of one of those things that's like, I need your help to guide me out of here?
It's good question, actually. I don't really usually have to say much. My wife, we've known each other for a long time. My wife and I actually met when we were 12 in 7th grade band class. And so she has, of course, she didn't see a whole lot with the hydrocephalus stuff and the surgeries and all that until we were married a few years, but she knows me so well. It's, all I have to do is look at her and she can tell by the look on my face that it's time to go, and so, and really when it gets to that point, sometimes I can't really say much anyway, because it's the sensory overload. It's really only been since the last surgery. It's weird. Every surgery has its own little batch of things that it fixes, but then it also gives you a whole nother batch, most of the time, in my experience, another round of side effects that you maybe didn't have before, that you get to, now this is part of your life. So, and with this most recent surgery, sensory, not being able to block out background noise is something that I've realized is a thing now. And I used to be able to, really, for 4 decades before this, I was able to do it just fine. It might have been a little tiring, but now it's almost impossible. And so when we, at church or at a coffee shop or at a school event or something, oh my gosh, yeah, it's small doses.
I feel like such a jerk all the time when we're out in a place and I have to keep asking people, huh?
Yeah.
I'm deaf in my right ear now because of the accident. And the only thing that I hear is, back when TV shut off at midnight and all of a sudden your TV turned into the black and white fuzz. Yep. I hear that in my right ear.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I hear.
Yep.
And when I start getting my headaches, that becomes so loud that I can't hear anything in my good ear. It gets so loud that I literally cannot hear anything out of this ear, out of the good ear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll be sitting there sometimes even in a relatively quiet room and I can't hear people speak.
Yeah.
And so I have to go, huh? And it's like I'm not paying attention. And it's like, no, I need you to understand, I seriously cannot hear you. And it's one of those terrible things. And so I do love the fact that, you and your wife have not, when you said in band class, all I could think of was, this one time in band camp, that
Not
just
like that. No,
so
it's not like wasn't like that. But no, no, we definitely have those cues. And yeah, when I'm out, it's not that I can't hear them. It's that there's so much going on that
Mhm.
I'm trying to concentrate on this conversation, right? But I'm also hearing everything else. And so when you hear everything, you don't hear anything.
That's right.
It's all kind of just, wah wah wah, it's and so you I had to stop somebody the other day. I was at a networking event and I had to stop her because somebody started singing into a microphone or something. And I was like, okay, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I can't hear anybody now. And it's not their fault. I didn't fault them for it or anything. It was just, I knew that was the end of our conversation. I said, we're going to have to just have a phone call or something because I'm done now. you know,
See,
yeah.
Jeff, that's funny that you're able to do that because I cannot do phones. Phone calls for me are very, very difficult. I can do very short phone calls,
Huh.
but I cannot. And I think that I get paranoid because we were talking yesterday, as a matter of fact, about sometimes now I catch myself talking without moving my lips much, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but without seeing you, with me being able to see you, I can understand a little bit better on what you're saying. If I'm on the phone, it blocks me from everything around me and I
Mhm.
get nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, I
and I
can see
do.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I get nervous about that. And so if I can be on like a telephone or a teleconference like this with you, I can at least see what you're talking about and it's easier for me to digest it.
Yeah.
Phones are one of those things that people will say, well, can we just jump on for a quick phone call? I'm like, we can, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to have the same effect. And
Yeah.
it's like, people, I feel like such a pompous ass at times when I say that, but it's one of those things that I do. I freak out a little bit about that. And I can't,
People that know people that know you would understand. I get it though. I totally understand the feeling. Yeah. You don't want to be that guy.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly it. I've went for so long in my life that I didn't, if I was going to annoy you, it was because I was on a loud Harley Davidson or something. That's how I got that.
Yeah.
Let's get in a little bit more to Hydro with Hope. One of the reasons why, and I would like for everybody to look above Jeff's head right now, and you're going to see his QR code for Community Pay It Forward. He has joined the program, and you can now support Jeff and Hydro for Hope by simply shopping with any of our partners. Just scan that QR code. It'll take you to his form, shop with any of those partners, and add the receipt or the invoice to that form and send it to us. Jeff gets 80 to 80% of everything that comes to us. It's
Love
that
it.
simple. Just by shopping with our partners, they give us a referral. We're going to give 80% of that to Jeff, just for the great work he's doing. Our purpose is to support people because he is supporting people, and that's what we want to do. So, Jeff, one of the things that you want to do, and I hope I'm not overstepping here, but I want to take and I want to go back to something, and I want to go I want to show one things that you don't like about your book, and it's this right here, that you have to charge people for that book. That is
Yeah.
one of the things that we are trying to accomplish. We're trying to get you set up to where you don't have to charge for the book.
And I love that. And I appreciate that. I'm so thankful for you guys and your organization and how you work and what you're doing. And it's awesome. I can't wait to see what we're doing 5 years down the road. It's going to be phenomenal. So you're absolutely right. We launched the book earlier this year, I think in February or March or something of this year. And we actually we were not always a nonprofit. We started as a for-profit company, and it just didn't. It took me a while to come around, but I was like, I just can't. I can't do it, man. We got to do the nonprofit thing, because I can't be so focused on making the money from the book that I don't want to get it to the people, because that's the most important thing, is to get this book into the hands of every single hydro warrior in the country. Because it's only translated into English. My dream of all dreams would be that we could go worldwide with it and have it in different languages, and that would be a blast. But that's not even on my radar right now. But I want to get this into the hands of as many people in as many places as possible. So having a nonprofit and being able to give it away is huge. So, I mean, if somebody wants to buy a bunch of them and give them away, great. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. Please do go to the website and pay for them, and that helps us as well. But you're absolutely right. I wanted the option to be able to not have to depend on that. So, yeah.
This is one of the things that we always tell people. One of the things that we always say, and you're living this statement. I started this because of an experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why you started this program. This wasn't because you woke up one morning and you were like going, and look, I'm not saying that people aren't generous. Hey, I want to support something. Why don't I start a 501c3? By the way, I also want to take and congratulate you, because you just became, I mean, at the time of this recording, which is September 26th of 2023, you just got the verification that you are now a 501c3.
They approved us on September 7th, I think. I got the letter just literally a few days ago on Saturday. Yep. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was great. You were so excited about that yesterday when we talked. You were like going, you hadn't even opened it yet.
Well, and it took such a short amount of time. I blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I thought, I've heard of people. There was somebody I was just talking to the other day. It took them 22 months to get approved as a 501c3. I've heard of people it taking 12 to 15 months. It took about a month from when we sent it in to when we got that letter. I could not believe it. It was absolutely mind blowing. So it was great. Yeah,
that is just so fantastic.
Great.
But yeah, I do. I love it. I'm glad that they were able to get that to you. You are on two of our pages when it comes to mission partners. We've got you on the 501c3, but we've also got you under healthy mind, body, and soul, because this does have to do with the body and healing. I would like, in your opinion, if somebody is dealing with someone with a brain injury,
mm-hmm.
what would be your advice to them? I just want to compare what my advice is. What is your advice to someone who's dealing with someone with a brain injury?
Well, for me, I'm the only I'm the only body that I live in that has a brain injury, so I can only speak from my own experience. But from my experience, if somebody comes up to me and I'm having a bad day when it comes to the brain injury, and that can be, you talk about headaches. Yeah, when I get a bad enough headache, it's the world turns from here to here, and it's down I go, and you just gotta, you're hoping you can find a soft place to land, and then you just have to lay there. And I've had probably remnants of what might be considered seizures. I've never been diagnosed, but I'm almost positive, and so different things like that happen. And so with all that going on, it's really hard for somebody to come up to you and know what to do. And so I appreciate the question, but my wife and all three of my kids are phenomenal with this. My youngest is most recently, I had an instance where I had a headache like that, and it landed me on the floor, and the dizziness and the tics and the just all the things, the seizure activity and the different things. And all she did was she just came over and kind of just touch, put her hand on my shoulder like this. I'm laying on the ground. She puts her hand on my shoulder kind of gently, and then and just says, do you want a pillow? I'm like, because I just, you don't wait for a pillow to be there. You can't. I said, that would be amazing. Yeah, yes, please. And I was coherent enough to tell her, and she brought her pillow over, put it under my head, and that was it. And that was all she needed to do. And it was so cool, and that they understood, and they didn't freak out and be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? They just calmly, just be calm, ask them if there's anything you can do to help, and then do the thing. If they say, yes, I would love, can I have a pillow, or just, offer something, because sometimes they can't talk. If they have a brain injury and maybe they're in some kind of seizure activity, they might not be able to talk. So, gently put your hand on them, maybe rub their back a little bit if it makes sense, and put something under their head, and just sit with them, and that's been the most helpful for me, because that does a couple things. It brings me more comfort, brings the person that's going through the problem more comfort, physical comfort, but it also brings emotional comfort, because they know that people care, and that people are going to actually tangibly help you, and they want to, and they're going to, and they do it, and it's awesome. So that's what I would tell them.
It's understanding, and I think
Yes.
that's one of the things that I always tell them, Jeff.
Even if you don't understand.
Yeah. And one of the things that I always tell people is like, well, he's not the same, she's not the same. I tell them, you're right, they're not. But you need to understand, a lot of times they're not able to figure out what is going on at that moment. There's a lot of times they're unable to figure out what's going on in their own head. Okay. They can't understand why a movie that you guys have watched 1,000,000 times, they can't handle that movie right now.
Yep.
Maybe it's the lights blinking, maybe it's the screeching in the movie. Maybe it's just, maybe it's just their head at that moment. They just can't take it.
Yeah.
You need to, one, not blame yourself and not think it's you, because it's not.
Right. Yep.
So don't take that on yourself, because that's the worst thing you can do for them. If you start taking this on yourself, thinking I'm the reason this is happening, that is more of a pressure. And what you said just a moment ago, you can show that emotional support by doing simple stuff like that. If they just, if when if when you're talking to them, if the simple request is, look, I just need quiet. Please understand, they're not telling you, shut your mouth. They're telling you, I can't deal with this, I think that that's one of the things that, just getting people to even understand that is one of the things that I try to do. I love the fact that, with time, you're going to be able to recognize some of that. But I mean, a brain injury, this is one of the things that you and I spoke about as well. A brain injury is not like a broken arm, to where they can put you in a cast and it's going to heal. And they can put you in a cast, they can put me in the same type of cast. Obviously, they couldn't put our arms in the same cast, but but I mean, they can do the same thing and it's going to heal. You can't do that with a brain, because a brain is going to heal differently. I expressed to you my experience when I went to a brain injury group, and I had people who had brain injuries that couldn't walk after their brain injury, and they looked at me and they were horrified, because I have a headache every minute of every day, and they were like going, how do you do this? And I sat there and I went, wait, you can't walk and you're worried about my headaches?
Right.
And it's a different world.
Well, it's all individual, and what you were saying before is totally true. And I, at my most recent job, I would go in, and it was, they were so understanding, but some of the people just didn't, like you're saying, it's not their fault, but they don't understand with a condition. There's a difference between a condition and a disease, or well, let me say that, like a condition is something you're born with, you have for the rest of your life. It's not something that you could have a surgery and eliminate, or take, just eat better, or just get better sleep, or just this and just that. It's a condition. I will never not have hydrocephalus. The brain surgeries keep me alive. They don't fix the hydrocephalus. Okay. They they help me maintain living and continue to be on this planet. And I'm grateful for that. But it doesn't, like, for instance, I had somebody come up and say, because they knew that I had surgery recently, a couple years ago, it was, I don't know, early 2022. And my most recent surgery was October of 21. So they said, "Oh, you're back now. Oh, so you're good. You're good now. We're good now." I'm thinking, well, for today, for right now, I am, I don't know how to answer that. It's like, I'm not good in the sense that I'll never have to have surgery again, and I'm cured, but I'm good because I'm upright, I'm out of the house, and I'm talking to you, so.
Right. There wasn't a brain transplant. There wasn't a head transplant. It was,
Yeah.
it was something that I had to do to keep a quality of life
To maintain.
maintain. Yeah. And, I mean, Jeff, I could sit here and talk to you, and we proved this a couple times. We could sit here and talk for an hour and not get anything accomplished. It was just, one of the things that I love about our being introduced to each other by Stephanie, who we met a couple of weeks ago, is that who was also on one of your programs, and I definitely encourage people to go and find his show. I'll ask you to
we can talk about that in a second. Yeah.
So we can guide them there. But one of the things that I love the most is you're in my neck of the woods, and we possibly may have never met if it wasn't for this, like you said, doing it over the internet. If we did a brick and mortar, we probably would have never met. And this is the funny thing. I live in a town that you and your wife lived in.
Yeah. You're only a couple hours away. We went to, my wife graduated from UNC, and I went there for a couple of years in Greeley. And so, yeah, we lived there for a couple of years, back before we got married. She was going to school. I was going to school. So, yeah. And you were, I don't know if you were living there in 90, 95, 96, 97, 98.
I sure was.
So there you go. Yep, we could have passed you on the street. Who knows?
Oh, probably. If you ran
town wasn't that big back then, I might have. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was real skinny. I used to smoke and drink a lot. So, I told people when I stopped smoking, I basically ate myself because I doubled in weight. And, but So, your TV show. Once again, your TV show it's every Tuesday and Friday at noon East, 10 here in the Rocky Mountain region, Mountain Time Zone. It is on E360 TV. How do people get to it first? And then tell me a little bit more about that.
So the easiest way to see a show is to go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and then the title of the show is Invisible Condition. And so if you just go to Facebook or YouTube and type in Invisible Condition or Invisible Condition TV show, you should find it almost immediately. You can go to e360tv.com, and on the website or on the app, because there's a free app, you can scroll down a little bit, and on the app, you'll find a logo that says Achieve TV. On the website, you can see there, it's just kind of a heading, and you just scroll through the shows until you find the right one, and there's our show, and then you can see all the episodes. And the one I just did one this morning with Thomas White, who was amazing. That one should be up on the website tonight or tomorrow morning. Stephanie Greenwood was our guest on Friday, last Friday, and she was
Yeah, and I
absolutely
watched. I was telling you, I watched that episode this
Yeah.
morning, and I thought it was so fantastic. I would
We
just
have-
like to bring this up right here's the one with
Yeah.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone, show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.